Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey, this is Jan from New York City, and my channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. Hey, how's everybody doing on this Monday morning? Hope that this video finds everybody doing well. Hey, look at what it says over there. Surprise! Debbie from the How Debbie Saves show stops by. She's giving us a wonderful tip today. We not only talk about saving money, we also talk about saving time. And in my honest opinion, and probably all of your opinions too, time saved is even more important than money. Why? Because once you lose time, you're never going to get it back. Am I right or am I right? Money is replaceable. People and time are not. So let's get to it. Before I put on Debbie, and also Steve will be on later with his time saving tip, I want to talk to you for a minute about saving time in the kitchen. Some of us go on these baking jags. You know what I mean? Like you just get into this mood where you want to have a little bit of fun, and you're grabbing all the pots and pans and every equipment needed to bake. And sometimes I mention baking on purpose because I notice sometimes that things that are baked can sometimes be the most messiest things on planet Earth. And don't forget, you need a lot of bowls and equipment. Well, not necessarily. If you want to save some time and clean up, try to consider baking recipes that can be mixed together in the actual pan that you're baking in. For example, a dump cake. Ever see those? I know there are plenty of them on the Life with Patty channel and other wonderful channels as well. And when I do my apple breads, for example, I do everything in the same loaf pan. I do not mess extra pots and pans because guess what? Less pots and pans to clean saves time, effort, and energy. And while we're at it, with any meal that you make in your kitchen, make sure to always clean up as you go along. You'll find that will streamline everything. So, for example, if your cake is in the oven and you have a dirty mixing bowl or spoons or what other gadgets and gizmos that are dirty, don't wait a half hour because you're wasting not only time in your near future because the gunk that's left on top is going to dry out and become a really horrible mess to clean up. Therefore, start soaking things, start cleaning things, and get rid of as much cleanup with every single meal as you go along. So in a minute, I'm going to welcome Debbie. Hi, Debbie, and thank you so much for appearing on the show. And by the way, everybody, if you have never, ever been to the How Debbie Saves channel, I strongly encourage you to get there. You're going to find so many amazing tips and tricks. And you know something? We just love Debbie. Debbie, you're a doll. Love you. Thank you so much. And without further ado, here you come.
So the number one tip that I'd like to share is to prep things ahead of time. Here's the perfect example. The other day I came home with the groceries and I had to wipe everything down, take all my vegetables, load them up in the sink to give them a good rinse, and deal with the kids, get them off to bed, and I was exhausted. And I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna prep anything. I'm just gonna take everything, dry it up, and put it in the fridge. But then I thought to myself, if I take just 5 minutes and prep that kale, for example, I got 3 bunches and they were like this big with the stems. So by taking an extra 5 minutes to tear the kale from the stem and chop it up and place it in a Tupperware, I'm guaranteeing that not only is that kale not going to go bad in the fridge, and because I don't have time to prep it later on, but I'm also going to save time because I'm going to have it ready and I can incorporate it into a meal. And don't you know it, 2 days after I did that, I made the most delicious sauteed kale recipe and my family loved it. Had I had the time to do it later on in the week? I don't know, maybe so, maybe not, because we all live hectic lives. So by just taking a few minutes to prep things ahead of time, whether it's chopping up a large onion and using half of it in one recipe and then the other half in another recipe, or taking the extra step to prep things and put them away in Tupperware so that you're guaranteed that you're gonna use up every ounce of food that you have, you save time because you don't have to prep it later, and you save money because you're not wasting anything in that fridge. Thanks again for having me on your channel, Jan. Bye.
Hey, Debbie, thank you so much. I really love that tip, especially when it comes to fresh produce. If you really want to avoid food waste, that's one of the routes to go. To make sure that your vegetables and your fruit is really well prepared and well kept. Because I believe, if you think about it, the majority of food waste that I have noticed with people, and even sometimes yours truly, not that it happens often, but I am human. I think the key is to be ready and prepared. And if you're tired and you're coming home from a long day's work or jumping around the house and you're just exhausted, the last thing that I personally feel like doing is slicing and dicing late in the day. If I can have my fresh produce ready in a pinch, there I go. And by the way, I've noticed that the more I do that personally, the more I tend to use it. And we're just healthier for it. So please don't bypass that tip. And more importantly, don't bypass that channel. Head on over to the How Debbie Saves channel, and I'm going to link up in the description box one of her full-length videos for you to enjoy. And please go over and show her some love and subscribe and say Jan from New York City sent you there. Thank you, Debbie. Coming up now is Steve with another amazing time-saving tip. Hang on.
Hi everybody, I have a couple of tips that I want to throw in about how I go about saving time. One thing I tend to do, the first one, is I tend to lay out my clothes the night before. The second thing I do is I tend to take a shower and get that out of the way. The third thing I do is I shave. That easily cuts off a good 30 to 45 minutes in the morning for me. That way all I have to do in the morning when I get up is make myself some coffee, maybe a small breakfast, brush my teeth, and then I'm pretty much out the door, and then I can be where I have to be. Because I like to be punctual whenever I have to be at an appointment or anything that has a regimented time to it, more or less. I would also like to thank Debbie for being a part of this collaboration. It was a joy to hear her tip, as I myself love kale. It's very good, it's very nutritious. I have a little tip as to how I eat kale. It's a little different. I prefer to steam it, and then I take it and put some extra virgin olive oil on it with a red wine vinegar with garlic flavoring. It's rather good. I would also like to say that if you like what you see, please highly consider subscribing. And I want to wish everybody a great day, and I hope you enjoyed what you watched, and I hope